Hey, this is Sasha, and welcome to another episode here on Let's Talk Stocks. And in today's episode, I want to share with you why diagonals are fantastic and great as a retirement strategy. So let's go to the paper and take a look. All right, so if you're trading options and you're trying to go ahead and figure out which strategy is good for retirement, I want to share with you the diagonal. So when you look at a diagonal, one of the huge advantages to a diagonal is the positive vega. And because of that, it kind of gives you a cushion on any time there's a pullback. Okay, so that's kind of the first thing. But before we get there, let's first understand and recognize, well, what does a retirement strategy really look like? Or what's really the goal or point of a retirement strategy? So if I'm looking for a retirement strategy, okay, what is it doing? Okay, if I bought stock and just held it for 50 years, what does that risk profile picture look like? Well, it just looks like this. It's just a straight line. So you might have purchased it somewhere in the, let's say, 220 area. Well, anytime that stock goes up, so let's say it goes to 240, well, here you're profitable, right? So here's your profits. So all of this is profits. So as that stock heads on higher to, let's say, 235, well, you're maybe profitable around $500. If it heads to about 245, well, you're profitable around $800, $900. So if it goes down, though, of course, let's say it goes down to 210, well, now you're kind of a little bit at a loss. You might be down about $400 because everything down here is at a loss. So you're losing money. Now, what do people normally do in a long-term hold situation or in retirement? Well, number one, they go ahead and hold it forever and kind of collect dividends. Okay, so they hold forever. Number two, if things kind of continue to move down, they go ahead and, or up, they take their profit or they take their loss and rotate to kind of a new stock. That's kind of the typical approach. So they're holding forever and they make money through appreciation or dividends. Or they kind of take their profit and loss. And that's kind of a general retirement strategy. Now, the great thing when it comes to a diagonal strategy, especially if you're dealing kind of with options. So if we look at a diagonal strategy, okay, well, when you're dealing with options, do you have to hold it forever? Well, no. You could go ahead and, number one, you could rotate every 30 days or 60 days, depending on your length. And number two, well, a little subset here, when you go ahead and make money from dividends or appreciation, well, here in a diagonal strategy, you still make money from appreciation, but instead of dividends, you make money from theta, which is usually more because you're in a shorter term duration than maybe a stock, because you're taking the power of options. Now, if the stock does go against you, or the option in this case, well, you could still take your loss or your profit and rotate into something new. So what does a diagonal kind of look like? Well, in our case here, I'm going to go look at something like this. So doesn't this have a very similar upward potential move for a retirement strategy? So the same thing. You make money as the stock goes up or the price goes up, and you lose money as the price kind of goes down. The good thing about this strategy is, well, it cushions you. It cushions you on the pullback. And the power behind this is you can rotate it. So I could rotate this to be a little more powerful or less powerful depending on how fast that stock ran. So if you decided to go into a certain specific stock for, let's say, 30 or 40 years, you could continue to trade this one day in and day out. But if the stock went up quite a bit, well, you could go ahead and make it less skewed or turn it more into a calendar in that case. So I want to share with you here on screen what this looks like. But before we do, remember that if you want to go check out some more option trading courses, check out our website at the Rise, the number 2, LEARN. And you can see a lot of option courses there that we have. You can also take a look at our Traders Fly website, and there we also have memberships that you can check out, and that'll take you to our members website. And as you scroll down, there's a handful of things there that we have in members area, and we'll be getting into some more options with that as well. So check those few items out, and that way you get even more detailed education. But here, let me show you, if I went ahead with buying Caterpillar and analyze the trade, you can see buying 500 shares right here at about $133 would cost me $66,000 or so. So when you look at it, and you want to go ahead and do the same type of trade on a diagonal, well, what I could do is I could go ahead and buy a diagonal here. I could do it calls, I could do it puts, it really doesn't matter. But here, let's say the November is the ones I would buy for protection. Okay. And let's see. We'll first start with the calendar. Okay. It's going to look something like this. And now we'll go ahead and kind of shift it and rotate it. I might even go into the puts depending on how we get positioned here. So take a look at this. This is very, very similar to the stock. And I can go ahead and play with this. I could go to 130 and 135. And I could even do the puts or the calls. But in this case, let's do the calls. So you can see that right here, as that stock goes up, I'm still making money. Now, what I could do, the power behind this versus maybe the stock, is take a look at what I could do. If I'm even more bullish on this, well, I could rotate it kind of to the, let's say 125, and now I've gotten a little more power in that, okay? I could go ahead and rotate it even further. So now I've gotten even more power on that. And as it continues to go up, let's say it came into this area, I could go ahead and just continue putting another one of these on. I could go ahead to the next month and the next month and the next month, time and time again. Isn't that what you're doing anyway with a stock? You're just holding it month after month. And that's the same thing here. Now, the big difference here is, well, if I see a pullback and the stock price is 132, let's say 130 is the strikes that we have. Well, if the strike, if we're currently at 132 and I'm seeing a pullback, or that stock just went up to the moon 20% in a single month or something like that, and I was just making a boatload of money, and all of a sudden I say, hey, it's running a little too quick. Well, I could just kind of do a calendar now instead. It's still got that positive vega, or just do something a little less extreme and just do a slight little rotation. Or I could dial this back to the 120 and 125. So I still get a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of upside movement, but very little. So it just goes to show you the flexibility behind it as a retirement strategy, that, hey, I got much more room now to the downside. Still, again, you'd lose just like you would with a stock, but you got more room, and it gives you time if that stock pulls back, but you still got that long delta, because that's what a retirement strategy is. It's long delta for upside movements, holding things time in and time out, time again. And you know, you're making money from appreciation or dividends. And in our case here, the theta decay as that stock continues, or options continue to decay. So I hope this gave you some thoughts and insights as you continue to trade or look into your retirement strategies. Maybe it gave you some ideas to think about as you start evolving and developing your portfolio. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, or more importantly, join me on my newsletter list by clicking the link over here, or check out some of those courses and products. And if you're on the newsletter list, you get notified when we release new videos, new books, new courses, new products. Any other time we do free trainings, that's where I send it out, because they're the first to know any updates, as well as discounts. So when we do them, you get sent those discounts through the newsletters. Thanks again, and remember to do what you love, contribute to other people, but most importantly, live life abundantly. I'll see you next time.